This is a playtest of The Lands Remaining. More on that in a moment. Let's start by introducing ourselves, though. When I call on you, please say your name, your pronouns, and anything else you would like for us to know about you. I will start, though. My name is Jason. Any pronoun is fine. I am the creator of this forthcoming game, The Lands Remaining, as well as some of the games from which it is derived, like Brindlewood Bay, The Between, and Public Access. And I am a podcaster and the founder of the Gauntlet Gaming Community. And I just really love role playing games. I'm very excited to play this one. Let's go to Jazzy.
Hi, I'm Jazzy. She, her. This little guy is Maki. I have played in a few actual plays or games with Jason. I think most notable probably Crown of Salt and Signals from the Other Side, which I think was the first public access game you recorded. So that's
It was, yeah, yeah. You were that one
yeah.
too. Yeah, the first that was the first one I recorded. I had like play tested it, but yeah, yeah.
Mhm. So yeah, I love fantasy. I love fucked up fantasy. So I'm super excited for this.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And oh, we just lost Ken. So we'll keep going while we give Ken a second to get back. Alina, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, great. My name's Alina, she, her pronouns, and I'm thrilled to be here. I've been doing Car from Brindlewood for a couple months, but never as a player. So this is my first playing experience, and I'm very just excited to be a part of it.
And creator of our character keeper. Don't forget that too. So
Indeed, yes, I'm
yes.
also creating the character keeper.
Yeah, we might be for people watching the video. There might be like some pauses while we sort character keeper stuff throughout this because we're playtesting the character keeper as well. Fantastic, thank you, Ken. Ken, are you with us? All right, we'll skip Ken for now. Alexander, go ahead.
Right, Alexander Guy. I uh, have been in the Gauntlet community for quite a while, but I've just recently started getting involved. I am the chief layout editor for Sprigs and Kindling. I also did layout for the recent beach blanket body bag, and am currently putting together the layout for Dead Pilled.
I'm yeah, very excited to see that. Thank you so much. Okay, so Ken, are you with us now? I don't know what's going on. I'm going to pause until we figure out what's going on with Ken. Okay, and Ken, please tell us your pronouns and anything else you want folks to know about you.
Hi, I'm Ken, he, him pronouns. Just super excited to be part of the playtest today. Have had the opportunity to play a lot of CFB games, a few with Jason in the past, and I'm really excited to be part of this group.
Awesome, thank you. All right, now I'm going to do CATS. CATS is an acronym that stands for Concept, Aim, Tone, and Subject Matter. The purpose of CATS is to establish some basic expectations for what this game is about and what we're going to be doing during this first session. So the concept. The Lands Remaining is a tabletop role-playing game of elegiac fantasy about a group of characters, the Embers, exploring a world brought low by a catastrophic event called the Dimning. These characters, these Embers, are from the time of the Old Fire, the world before the Dimning, and are each icons or paragons of a particular order or ideal or belief system. They have been resurrected into this ruined world to explore its mysteries, to uncover the truth of the Dimning, and why their own order or ideal fell to it. During this, they will have to face the so-called Lords of the Lands Remaining, who block the way to their ultimate goal, the throne of the Old King, sometimes called the throne of the Hidden King, sometimes called the throne of the False King, etc. One of them will ascend the throne of the Old King and light a new fire, which will burn across the world, remaking the world in their image. The Lands Remaining is inspired by a variety of grim and/or wistful fantasy works, such as The Fellowship of the Ring, Between Two Fires, and Shadow of the Colossus, Souls-like video games such as Elden Ring, Dark Souls, and Hollow Knight, and other works of operatic mythic grandeur. Its rules are carved from Brindlewood, meaning they are principally derived from games such as Brindlewood Bay, The Between, and Public Access. You don't need to know anything about those games to play this one. Aim. The aim of the characters in the story is to investigate mysteries in this broken world they find themselves in. Our aim as players is to learn more about these characters' occluded pasts and how the world fell to the Dimning, as well as to paint a vivid picture of our version of the lands remaining, which is a responsibility we all share. The aims for today's session are to create and introduce our characters, learn the basics of how the game works by playing it, and then having a debrief at the end. I also want to add a couple of extra aims or things for the playtest. Because this is a playtest, I'm going to be running it in a really deliberate way. Very deliberate in the way I present the rules and explain things. I know all of you have not, or most of you, if not all of you, have experience with Carve from Brindlewood games, but we're going to be proceeding as if you did not. So I'm going to be going really careful with it. Also, because this is a playtest, I will be more actively pointing out rules to you and opportunities to engage the rules so that we can see how they work. One other thing I'd like to point out here is that this game isn't a traditional fantasy adventure game where the goal of the characters is to kill monsters and loot treasure. You'll certainly kill monsters, but this world no longer has a concept of money, and your characters aren't here to loot. They're here to investigate a broken world. You'll get rewards at the end of each mystery you resolve. We imagine these are things your characters found in the environment during their travels, but it's not the focus of the moment-to-moment gameplay. If you ever want to search a monster's body or its lair, the reason you do so is to find information, not treasure. Tone. The tone of the lands remaining shifts between gloomy and introspective to sweeping and mythic. It is epic fantasy, but of a particularly gray and grasping sort. A little bit of levity or humor from time to time is okay, but we will always strive to return to that dark and broken, yet often majestic and awe-inspiring world they live in. Subject matter. Let me take a deep breath. Murder, cannibalism, body horror, dark sexual themes, threats to children and animals, foul language, blasphemy, ritual sacrifice, defiling corpses, suicide, pregnancy horror, filth and degradation, and many other bleak subject matters can come up in this game. We'll talk about safety tools in a moment, but in the interest of setting expectations right now, you should know that this game deals with dark and intense subject matter. Do you all have any questions about the cats? Then a quick note on safety tools. No game is more important than the people playing it. We're going to paint a tragic portrait of the lands remaining, but we're going to do it in a way that respects everyone's boundaries of safety and consent. In order to do that, we'll be using 3 safety tools. The open door policy, the X card, and we're going to be doing roaming lines and veils. So the open door policy is if you just have to leave for some reason, just tell us and it's fine. The X card, if something happens in the game that just you find uncomfortable in an unfun way, you can certainly say the X card or just type it in chat and we'll stop and we'll revise whatever just happened. Typically, I will ask what specifically needs to be X carded. I won't ask why, but I might ask for clarification on what. Roaming lines and veils. Normally, the way we do lines and veils is we say, okay, line are things that we're not going to have in the game at all. Veils are things that we're okay with being in the game, but we prefer not to role play it or see it on screen. I'm going to do roaming lines and veils for playtest purposes, which is to say that just as things come up, if it looks like something you don't want to engage with, we'll line it or veil it then, but we're not going to start with lines and veils. Do you all have any questions about safety tools? Okay. Character creation. Now, before we begin character creation, I have a story to tell you. Once, there was an age where the world stood unbroken, an age of plenty. We raised towers to pierce the clouds and carved likenesses of our prophets and kings in stone 100 spans high. Empires sprawled from ocean to ocean, their banners glittering with colors now rarely seen. All was bound together by a single unifying force, known then by many names, but known now as the Old Fire. Some say the Old Fire was a hero of myth, whose glorious deeds bound all hearts together. Others claim it was a god older than the stars, or of the stars, blazing in judgment and mercy. Still others claimed it an ideal of unity, of glory, of order. Whatever its shape, whatever its nature, the elemental truth is this: the old fire was the soul of the world itself, the order that gave the seasons their turning, the light by which the arts and sciences flourished, the will that held kings to their thrones. Then came the dimming. No one living can say what extinguished the light, whether it was the caprice of gods, the hubris of kings, or the malice of something deeper, something older. What is known is that the seas drowned their shores, the earth split like rotted wood, and the sky faded into a long and starless dusk. When our eyes finally opened again, the old fire was gone, and with it the age of plenty. What is left of the world is scattered and strange. The lands remaining are fragments, kingdoms shrunk into single cities, wilds ruled by beasts born of nightmare, and fell domains administered by greedy eminences who would sooner let the world fall into oblivion than relinquish even a scintilla of their power. It is said that somewhere beyond these broken realms lies the old capital, Umberel, where the throne of the old king still endures in shadow. Whoever reaches it will shape the age to come, rekindling the old fire throughout the lands, or using the fire to forge something new, something we cannot yet imagine. And with that, we will go create characters. I'm going to pause this. Okay, we're back. Before we introduce the characters, I'm going to keep telling some story. From forgotten tombs and long-buried vaults, figures rise, draped in dust and memory, and bearing the weapons and rites of a world that no longer exists. You are the embers from the old fire, champions, prophets, and paragons drawn back into the waking world by the will of the old fire itself. Though diminished, some fragment of its light still smolders in the marrow of the earth, yearning to blaze again. It has called you forth to seek it, to find the scattered truths of the dimning, to face the lords who bar the way, and to carry its spark to the throne at Umberel, where, if you prevail, the old fire may be reborn again in your image. You remember the ideals you once fought for. You remember splinters of glory and ruin. But the truth of the old fire, of the dimning, of your own death, remains occluded. We're going to introduce the characters now. I will read the flavor text for each of the embers, and then you will introduce your character by name, honorific if you have one, look, and your ritual. You don't have to tell us anything about the ritual yet. We'll discover that in play. And then after all of that, the other players are going to give that character a rune. So what the rune is it's like, it's something that like inspired you. You've all decided to give that character a little aspect to one of their relics. Whatever the rune is, whatever you call it, whatever it does, that will get written into one of the blank aspect lines on one of your relics. It's your choice which relic you put it on. And so as we're introducing each character, pay close attention so you can think about what the rune might be. Maybe the rune is something that reinforces what we say. Maybe the rune is something that contradicts what we say. That could be interesting. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to start with, I'm going to just go in the order of the sheet here. Starting with the Crux Druid. I need to pull up the Crux Druid text really quick. You were one of the Crux Druids, reviled wanderers, feared mystics and keepers of the most terrible rites. While others knelt before the old fire, you knelt before root and bark and stone, listening for the whispered truths that seeped through the marrow of the earth. But the land only speaks when fed, and your order learned early that blood loosens every tongue. You crucified the willing and the condemned alike upon sacred trees. Their gasping pleas, their half-mad mutterings, their final shuddering breaths, all were threads in the tapestry of knowledge your order wove. You buried hearts in riverbeds to coax storms. You spilled blood on barren soil to wake slumbering spirits. You carved sigils into living bone and pressed them into the loam to twist nature to your purpose. The kingdoms despised you. The churches cursed you. The Fae would not speak your name. But the land listened. When the dimning came and the world reeled, you did not despair. You welcomed the great unmaking. For in the darkness the land's true voice rose raw and unbound, whispering secrets no one else dared hear. And now you rise again, an improbable tool of the old fire. The trees remember your touch, some with reverence, some with hunger, and everywhere you walk, the world strains to speak once more. Alina, tell us the basics of your Crux Druid.
Right. Her name is Nizelle of the Red Canopy. You can see her wearing a crown of thorny, like nails and thorns pressed into her brow. She is got woven vines around her forearms that are living and they tighten if blood is spilled near them. And she is walking barefoot with her feet hardened and split like roots. Her ritual is the Testament of Splinters.
Interesting. Now, Jazzy, Ken, and Alexander, you all need to come up with a rune that Nizelle will have on one of her relics. And so I think the rune doesn't have to have a name, but I think it would be fun if it did, the rune of something. And then what the rune does, just like what does it mean? Maybe it has some kind of power. Maybe it has some kind of ability. It could be a magical ability. Maybe it's just a statement. Maybe it's a curse. In any case, the three of you can discuss it and then tell Nizelle.
Is it all three of us together come up with one, or
Come
if
up with
it's
one.
is it
You all
okay,
come up with
okay,
one. Yeah.
okay. What immediately caught me was this idea of the crux. I mean, I have two ideas. The one is that sort of contradicts all of this like very grotesque text that we've been hearing, which would be something like the rune of the hallowed, a reminder of when kindness or softness was still yours, to sort of give another dimension. And the other one would kind of lean into it, the rune of the I don't know, haunted or unheard or something. And it would be something about like a secret that you heard that still haunts you. Because there was like in the text something about these secrets that you heard that you welcomed, but I like the thought of there being one that maybe is even for you a little much.
I was thinking something similar, but I was thinking more in the vein of sacrifice. And I was almost picturing like a cross, like X cross rune on the item. And if you bled into it, it would either provide a protection or do more serious, potent damage to your foe. Something along those lines. And maybe even like leave some of the thorns stuck in them or draw blood from them, something along those lines.
You could like combine the ideas. I really like the idea of like the kindness counterpoint because it's so different from all the rest of it. But you could have it be um, like that the rune gives some kind of power, like Ken suggested, but only if you do an act of kindness. It's like someone put this rune on your thing just to be like to remember. But anyway, Alexander, what are your thoughts?
Hmm. I mean, a rune that is. I was sort of thinking like something splintering, like something. I do like the juxtaposition though of like kindness, an act of kindness, or you have to do an act of kindness maybe to also then use the power and to like do harm. It's like balance in a way.
I like the idea of a splinter. Um, I like the idea of like splinter, um, where because we associate that with like something annoying and slightly painful, and then having the like that's kindness to you, right? Like you still have it, and it's sort of like this splintering, like this thorn that you can't get out.
I feel like there's a way to combine all these, like this like splinter that uh if you do an act of kindness, like that's when the splinter pricks you. But like Ken said, it actually does something for you. Like if you do an act of kindness, you I don't know, you're protected or or I don't know, something like that. But I feel this is good. It's a good discussion. I like this discussion about the character. Do we want to settle on something here? What are your thoughts, Alina?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna add this to my Tenderbark Confessor, and I like the idea that it is a in an act of kindness harmful to me, but then also more powerful. Like I like that the uncomfort of being
Yeah.
kind.
So you got to write it as a single line aspect. And so we haven't gotten to this part of the rules yet, but what aspects are is basically whenever you mark an aspect, it can function in different ways. It can give you advantage on a die roll if it makes sense that it would. It can help somebody else in their die roll. It can act as a clue, which is an interesting use. Or if it makes sense, it can clear a condition. So like the aspects are very powerful. They have four very like distinct things that they can do depending on how you use them. So I think you should narrate it, or you should write it however you want, Alina. But I think the ideas here are really good. Okay, that was good. Let's keep going. Having met Nizel, let's now go meet our candle bearer. Oh, the candle bearer. There's basically like two sympathetic characters in this whole game, and the candle bearer is one of them, or at least sympathetic embers. You were born to bear the light. When the world began to dim, it was the waxen company of candle bearers who kept the fires burning. Pilgrims of flame walking into the depths where the sunlight failed. Their glow lit the paths of kings, the graves of saints, and the hollowed hearts of those who still prayed for dawn. But even their thousand candles could not hold back the dimming forever. The courage of men melted like wax, and the shadows crept closer, patient and endless. One by one, the lights guttered until only the last vigil remained. A circle of candles burning in a sea of night, the waxen company kneeling within in sorrow. You remember their faces, half lit, half consumed, as the darkness took them and left you alone to carry the glow forward. You sought whatever was left of the old fire, and then your own candle went out. Jazzy, tell us about the candle bearer.
I will be playing the bearer, Gavrin the Everlit, he, him. My ritual is wick whispering, and he has these eyes that flicker like candlelight, arms streaked with wax like armor, and bare feet. Whenever he steps, there is like this imprint of soot where he just stepped.
Fantastic. And now, Alexander, Alina, and Ken, we get to develop a rune to put on one of our candle bearer's relics. What do we think?
The last vigil scene is very evocative from the story text of like this core group that's falling one by one. I wonder if
They
I
were the
could.
last ones. Like like the candle bearer, we'll learn later, is a little out of character, but they were the last person to see the old fire. There was like before it went out.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about that sense of like dwindling community and wondering if we can build something cool and thematic with that.
What about if
I
the rune is a wax seal that actually erodes or melts over the course of play, becoming
Ooh.
more powerful, going from less powerful to more powerful? Just a thought.
I hmm. Ooh, I'm not sure if this can work together, but like something that stood out to me was like the sort of burned feet, and thinking about sort of like stepping on coals, and the the sort of like trial by fire. And a part of me was thinking, like, what if the ruined is almost like a brand? It's almost like a of some sort. Maybe something that like kind of with the idea of like the candles gradually going out, like some sort of brand that seeks out treachery or conspiracy.
Jazzy, any thoughts?
I like the idea of seeking out treachery or that because that's like very the candle bearer has like a lot of illumination and darkness and what
It's
stays
all,
hidden and what shouldn't.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
all about
that feels
looking.
very
Yeah.
very thematic. I like the idea if like the imagery of the bare feet, like what if like the rune is on the feet, like on the soles.
What if I actually I really kind of like what Ken said about the wax seal.
Mhm.
What if the wax seal is the wax seal of a traitor, but
Ooh.
it's all you have. You don't know anything else about them. Like
Hmm.
maybe there's some kind of traitor within the company or some kind of traitor during the time of the old fire. I don't know. I think it's kind of a cool idea.
That's really cool.
You know? If there's no other thoughts, I mean, you just write it however you want. But I think that's pretty good. Yeah. What are you gonna put
That's
it
really
on?
cool. Um, I like the idea of it being on the Ever
I
Crucible
was gonna say the
because it
Crucible. It's got to be the
has,
Crucible, right? Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
holds the last remains of the old fire. There's
Yeah.
got to be a traitor there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty good. Awesome. All right. I love it. Let's now go to the Nameless. You were once a knight of the Nameless Legion, an order so devoted to humility that its champions surrendered everything that set them apart. Name, lineage, coat of arms. You claimed no titles, carved no sigils, and buried your victories beneath the soil you bled to defend. But no vow is strong enough to hold back pride. The Legion's virtue curdled to vanity. Its humility became hunger. You remember the halls where your brothers and sisters ate in silence, each secretly yearning for notoriety. You remember the moment when the old fire grew cold to you. Now, in this age of ruin, you rise again, a commander without name, bearing the arms of a forgotten host. The ghosts of your comrades follow, pale and patient, waiting for release. You can call them when the need is great, but each spirit must be named before it fades, freed at last from the burden of humility. You seek the truth of your legion's fall, and perhaps redemption. And when you stand before the throne of the old king, you will take a name for yourself, one so true and terrible it will burn across the world. And so you don't have a name, you have just a little nickname. And we're going to learn it. It is
Shelf.
Shelf. Tell us about Shelf, please.
So his look is hair silvered early, brushed smooth despite the grime, a statuesque physique, cyclopean, chiseled, and grey. A bookcase burdens his back. The titles and names have been sanded off each book's spine. His ritual is amending the annals.
Fantastic. What do we think, folks?
Amending the annals along with there's a big contradiction in the background of like you devoted yourself to this order, but you are naming the legion and you will claim a name yourself. And it's like clearly he already doesn't believe in his order. And then tied with amending the annals as a ritual is like uh I think like rewriting or erasing something as like sort of this revisionist sort of
A
take.
revisionist thing is really interesting, right? Like there's something kind of really fundamentally like contradictory in the nameless, which is like they are giving names, right? Like that's like their whole thing, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
Jazzy Kid, any thoughts?
Yeah, I like that idea. I wonder if it's something like the rune of polish, and it's about, like sort of airbrushing and making beautiful what was once ugly, or rewriting lies to be truth or something like that. Like the one line that stood like that popped into my mind was just that the last name to be ever mourned, whether that is in the past or the future. But I like this idea of yeah, of like rewriting things that were ugly and you're making them beautiful.
I was thinking like maybe your rune is something like the imperial sigil of the herald, something that codifies whatever it is you're able to either discover or reinvent or reinterpret as part of the canon of the old kingdom, the old fire.
Oh, yeah. Like there's something really interesting going on here with revision, right? Like it's this idea of the power of making like changing something to be true. Um, that's really powerful and cool, actually.
You like in naming it, you change it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. That's pretty great. Like the rune of revision, the rune of renaming, the rune of renaming. That's pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The yeah, I do like the idea that it is in some way it's in some way sort of a rune that is passed down. I like the idea of like the as Ken suggested, like sort of the oath of like the canon, the
Yeah.
oath of the canon. Like this is supposed to be the official history, the history that is recognized in the lands
Yeah,
that
that's
should
great.
be recognized in the land remaining. Okay,
Yeah, I
so
love it. Write it however you wish, Alexander, but where are you putting the rune?
ooh, I I think that rune is I think that rune is going on I think that rune is going on the sword
On name taker? Yeah.
on name taker. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, then. That just leaves the lock and key. That's the other, like, the other good guy. Or I think they are. They don't have to be, but the lock and key. You were once a disciple of the Crystal Door, an order of spies, infiltrators, and thieves that taught one truth above all others. Your body is both lock and key. A lock that keeps out illness, fatigue, poison, and decay. A key that opens thresholds others can't even perceive. You mastered your own physiology. You learned to still your pulse to a single beat per hour, flush toxins through sheer willpower, bend joints past their limits, harden muscle to turn aside blades, and guide breath through your body like a thread through a loom. You were a living instrument tuned to perfection. Then the dimning came. You should have died with the rest of them, but the old fire hid you. It opened a narrow fold in the world, a breathless pocket between moments, and slipped you inside. And there your training saved you. You slowed your heart, cooled your blood, sealed your senses, and became your own vault. Centuries passed, and now you walk again to Elegy. But unlike the other Embers, you were not reborn. You endured. And you aren't here to remake the world in your image. Your order served thrones, not usurp them. No, you're here to find the most impossible threshold of all, the one hiding the dimning itself. And when you finally cross it, the dimning will be held to account. And so let's meet our lock and key, Ken.
I am playing Old Smoke, the lock and key, he who slips between the shadows. Um, my ritual has become one with shadow, and I'm playing into the idea of this sort of hidden pocket that protected me from the dimming as a place where I have been lurking, but seeking secrets over the centuries. But I think um, with my look, I've got a soft cloth mask that's worn loose around the neck, but stitched with sigils, scuffed climbing boots, and a long coat with loose fitting whisper light wraps. I think like long tendrils of silk, almost shroud like, that are hidden weights of lead in the bottom so I can wrap it around things to climb if I need to, or grapple people or whatever. But I think he kind of looks like smoke on the wind when he emerges with his hood and his wisping bits. And I think also part of his look beneath his mask, if you ever get a glimpse, because he's been hidden in this pocket dimension away from the sun, and using his body to slow his heart rate down, he has this mottled gray skin, almost leprous, where his nose and ears and lips have eroded away. And so he's just consumed with revenge and and finding the secret of the hiding place of the dimming. That's what's kept him going.
What is your ritual?
Become one with the shadows. I imagine that spending so much time in this pocket dimension, he literally can slip in and out of shadows. And I almost imagine that he's constantly listening as if any shadow is a potential place for him to uh, glean information from.
Fantastic. Jazzy, Alina, Alexander, what do we think about the rune that might be found on one of the relics of the lock and key?
I like this. I feel like the lock and key has like a lot going on with like isolation because like we died and we came back, but you had to endure all of that time alone. So the rune that came to my mind was the rune of the soundless song. And it's kind of like a siren song almost, but like soundless. But I think this rune sort of allows you to like lure other people to you who like want to open up to you, right? Like it's another form of like this key that you are, where people just kind of want to confide in you and maybe tell you like fascinating or helpful things.
It's a nice contrast to like all the very like physical things too, right? Like it's something kind of social, which I think is fun.
Yeah, the idea that it is yeah, I like the idea that it attracts specifically kind of kindred spirits, maybe other people who have known loneliness or isolation. I mean, that's why they would be coming to you for basically it's almost like a rune of yeah. So the like siren song. It's also sort of like confession as well.
I had ideas, but I like theirs better. So.
Okay. So it sounds like what would you say, Jazzy? The rune of the
The soundless song or the
yeah.
yeah, the
So
silent song also works.
oh, I like silent song. So yeah, write that on one of your items, which is an interesting thing for the lock and key because their items are like just tools basically. But where are you going to put it though?
I think the hooded cloak makes sense.
That's probably the most
Yeah.
relic-y of their stuff. Yeah,
I'm
that's
almost
good.
thinking like someone sort of silently whispering their secrets into the shadows and the cloak picking it up kind of thing.
Yeah, you can interpret it however you want. I love it. Okay, fantastic. So that is characters introduced. Let's keep going with our process here. Let me finish the story. Our story begins on Elegy, a small island surrounded by the fog-shrouded sea. It is a place of graves and longing, where the hills are crowned with mausoleums and the cliffs are bitten through with tombs. At the island's heart rises the Mourning Tower, part cathedral, part crypt, part gathering hall, its bells droning for a world long dead. The people of Elegy are few, their minds bent under centuries of grief. Some weep without end, some drift through their days in wistful reverie, and some are consumed entirely by mourning, their sadness hollowing them into ghouls and specters that haunt the memorials of the living. It is here among stone and sorrow that you awaken. Your tomb, if you have a tomb, is open. The symbols of your station lie scattered before you, your relics from the time of the old fire. So, we are ready to play. We're going to take a 10-minute break. I'll introduce the Elegy mystery when we get back. Before we go on break, though, you need to know that these characters are to remain mysterious. We should avoid talking about their pasts, both in and out of character, unless we are prompted to do so by the game's rules. The reason we do that is because we want to learn about these characters as we play. It's a little bit like watching a good TV show. We don't learn everything about the characters all at once. The information is given to us in pieces, at dramatically impactful moments in the story, often through flashbacks. So please don't chat about your characters too much on break, and especially not about their past. Actually, that's it. So we're going to take a break, and so I'll see you in 10, and we'll come back and play properly. Elegy. You have awoken here, pulled from your tomb by the faint warmth of the old fire still pulsing in your chest. The sea that surrounds you, as much as you can make out in the fog, is gray and still. At the island's center rises the Mourning Tower, tall and black against the mist. The nuns there can tell you more about this world and help you in your future trials, but the tower's doors are sealed. Additionally, the only way off the island, the only way to reach the lands remaining, is a little boat called the Pale Crossing, but you must first learn to call it. And so that leads to your first 2 questions and opportunities. So the way this game works is you'll be investigating mysteries. This first mystery is called Elegy, and every mystery will have a set of questions and opportunities. Sometimes it's just one question, an opportunity, but in this case we have 2. When you answer the question, you unlock its opportunity. So the first question is, how can we call the Pale Crossing back to the shores of Elegy? It's a complexity 6, more on that later. And the opportunity is to call the Pale Crossing and immediately engage in a struggle against the boatmen. Then you resolve the mystery by taking the journey to the lands remaining aboard Pale Crossing. So that's how you resolve this mystery, is learning how to get the boat here. But you have another question too. How do we open the doors to the Mourning Tower? That's a complexity 8. And the opportunity is to gain access to the Mourning Tower and immediately engage in a struggle against the pallbearer. Now, this question is special because it can be answered after the mystery is resolved, and any future clue can be applied to it rather than the mystery where it was found. So you can essentially call Pale Crossing, go to the lands remaining, and just not think about the Mourning Tower for a while. Or you can stay on Elegy and also unlock the Mourning Tower before you go to the lands remaining. But that's kind of the deal here. You are not all together in the beginning, but you'll be together soon enough. Also, if everyone could change their Zoom name to their character name, that would be great. Shelf, you stumble out of your mausoleum, the mausoleum that was set aside for the Nameless Legion. I'm sure it's a rather plain structure. with no particular ornamentation. If anybody walking by it, they wouldn't know who was buried in there. And when you step out into this cold, fog-shrouded, dreary place, you see in the clearing in front of the mausoleum, there's someone standing there waiting for you. And Nizelle of the Red Canopy, the Crux Druid's mausoleum is surrounded by trees. It almost looks like a copse of trees, a little tiny forest. You have to kind of wind your way through to see that there is, in fact, a mausoleum in there. And as you step out, having gathered all the relics of your office, you hear a steady Gavrin the Everlit, stepping out of your mausoleum, clutching the last little bits of the old fire under your arm. You see Old Smoke. Old Smoke, at some point you made your way to Elegy. We don't dwell on how you got here. And then you just collapsed. and you and Gavrin, you're waking up as Gavrin is coming out of his mausoleum. You were the first two Embers to see each other. Let's talk about Elegy some more. You're not all in the same place, but you can all see the island around you. The island's cliffs have faces streaked with rainwater tears. Graveyards cover the low hills, their stones leaning together as though conferring in silence. A heavy hush clings to the air. No birds, no surf, only the soft rattle of dead leaves skittering across marble paths. And for you, Nizelle, that let's paint the scene. Every now and then I'm going to ask you all to paint the scene. And what that means is I'm going to ask you a question. And when you all answer the question, you're going to help build out the world a little bit, kind of what it looks like, and to help explore an idea connected to the world. And so as you're all stepping out of your grave, or in Old Smoke's case, waking up and looking around, every part of Elegy was built to remember a world long lost. Yet even memory erodes here. What sign do you see that the island's grief has lasted too long? And whoever wants to answer first may.
On the graves and the memorials, it's got the black of being touched by too many fingers, where you've just built up the oils, and it's totally worn away. You can't, there's no definition of anything anymore. It's just that blackness of being touched too much.
I think around some of the tombs and sepulchres that were raised originally to bring praise and remembrance to the old fire, that now there are new pyramids of skulls and bones that have elegized death that lives here, not remembrance.
In those old mausoleums and obelisks built before, there were drilled holes so that when a heavy wind came across the island, it would be filtered through and create something like wind music. With the blackening of the structures, with the erosion over time, now those holes have become misshapen. So should a heavy wind blow through again, it will produce only mournful screams.
And I think other than those mournful screams, it is almost like the air and the land itself has begun to mourn, and it's just like this perpetual rain and mist, like trying to see through theory eyes.
Shelf, there is someone waiting for you as you step out of your crypt. It's a person wearing a long, full body white veil. When they speak, it's a woman's voice. I was called the White Veil. And then she takes the veil and pulls it off and casts it down to the ground. And in the sort of misty breeze, it just sort of floats down to the ground. And you see now that she is wearing black traveling clothes. And most strikingly, perhaps, are her very pale eyes that you can see beneath a hood. And you get the faint scent of myrrh clinging to her. I was once called the White Veil, but now I am simply Vera, and I was sent here to kill you, to put you back into that crypt. And you can see now that she has a long blade in her hand.
The mass, the sort of like heavy frame of Shelf coming to his wits and senses was about to ask, like, who is this traveler before me, but that is already, seeing as that is already answered, he immediately begins to take up, protecting the bookshelf at his back, take up his sword, take up Nametaker.
She drops her sword. Fear not, Ember. I have given up that life. I am not going to kill you, even though now would be the time to strike while your senses are still coming back to you. So, I can't tell anything about you from your crypt.
I am the only one to have arisen.
I don't know if that's true. I've heard some rumbling, the grating of stone on stone elsewhere on the island. Methinks the age of the Embers has not ended quite yet. You're in danger, you know.
If you mean no harm, then that must mean that you are an ally. So be a good one. Point me in the direction of this sound where I may find these other awoken.
Nizelle, you step out of your little clutch of trees, and you hear this. It's kind of the only sound in this otherwise quite still place. What do you do?
Does this sound like chopping trees or digging or anything like a
Digging.
recognizable sound? Digging. Okay.
Digging. Yeah.
Yes. I would like to go and investigate, move towards the sound. I don't think she's good at being stealthy, but she's not trying to be loud.
Indeed. The sound is coming from the little graveyard. So named not because it's physically small, it's actually quite big, but because this is where small people were buried. It's a small burial ground clinging to the slope above the cliffs, its crooked markers half swallowed by mud and moss. The graves here are shallow, marked with wood instead of marble, and the rain has washed many names away. Tattered ribbons and scraps of fabric flutter from the markers, tokens of mourning left by those who had nothing else to give. Let's paint the scene, everyone. The poor and destitute who found themselves on Elegy at the end of all things are buried in the little graveyard. What small, improvised act of remembrance do we find that speaks more honestly of love than wealth ever could?
Caught in the wind, there is this little braided cord that jingles almost gently with all these like little wooden and like tiny scrap metal charms that were all clearly handmade, and it must have taken so long to like carve all these and make all these and braid them into this beautiful, colorful thing that I think stands out almost like painfully with like how bright it is in this gray, dreary world.
Similarly, I think there are just a few simple flowers, the only color in Elegy to be seen planted in handfuls around a few of the graves that normally wouldn't be noticed, but here stand out as something especially beautiful and poignant.
There's a few where time has worn down the markers for being made of wood, right? They've splintered and cracked, but then they've been set back up. So you can tell that people have been visiting here after time has taken its toll as well.
A lone bottle of strong rum stands half finished on one of the graves.
Nizelle, you see a gravedigger with mud-caked hands, kind of humming tunelessly in the fog now that you've gotten closer. You can hear it in between the... What do you do?
What is this place?
Oh. He looks up. Oh. An ember. It's been a long, long time since I've seen one of you. I thought the age of the embers had ended, but I guess I was wrong. This is Elegy. This is the island where we mourn the world that was. Though some of us don't have time for sentimentality, we have to dig and dig and dig.
Who are you digging for?
Everyone! I've made a bed for every soul that's ever passed this way. Some rest quiet, some don't. It's all the same in the end. The dirt closes over and the world forgets their names. Unless they come crawling back.
Do you know what brought me back?
He kind of like puts his shovel and kind of says, well, the old fire, of course. You're meant to seek the throne of the old king, to set the world ablaze again. And what would you say if I told you I've had this very conversation at least 100 times?
You haven't had it with me. That's not what I meant to do.
I am Fen the Gravedigger.
Well met.
Where did you come from? The tomb of the Druids? You'll be very popular when you finally make it to the lands remaining. I'm certain everyone who's left over there will welcome you with open arms.
I've never been concerned with being popular.
Indeed. Well, your first order of business is to figure out how to call the boat.
And I suppose you know and won't tell me.
Let's make our first move. So, I think we can check the reference sheet on the character keeper. There's a little open book icon in the upper left corner. And we have a move called the information move. When you explore the environment, question others, or otherwise gather information, describe how you're doing so, and roll with an appropriate ability. I'm going to say this is presence. So you can roll with dice or any other die roll you wish.
All right, I've got a +1 and I've rolled a 10.
Oh, nice. On a 10 plus, well, on a hit, you find a clue. I'll tell you what it is. So, and the best result, or there's a 12 plus result as well, but it's not relevant right now.
Mm-hmm.
You get your clue. I'll tell you what the clue is in a moment. For now, Gavrin the Everlit and Old Smoke, you are staring at each other as Gavrin comes out of a mausoleum surrounded by braziers burning. The scene is yours.
I think Gavin kind of does the, blink against the sun. And then almost
it's a very gray clouded sun,
yeah,
but still bright, still bright.
Still from like the contrast, and then kind of gets used to it and looks around, and his eyes fall on Old Smoke. And I think there is that beat of just like silence that stretches on, and then at a loss of normality, Gavin will just kind of give like a polite bow and put a hand on his chest and go, Gavin the Everlit, how may I help?
It's about time, Gavin the Everlit. It has been an age I have waited on all of your resurrections again. It is good. There are other embers. The quest is not yet complete. There must be others emerging from the mausoleum dark. We should find them.
I think sort of without question, Gavin just accepts that. I feel like that's the kind of person he is. And I think he kind of looks around, having asked how to help. Apparently it is by finding others, which good. The light should eliminate such things. I look around me. Does there seem to be like another mausoleum close or like a building that looks like it might hold people inside?
I'll take this time to give you just the basic lay of the land. So there is there's the little graveyard, and you will probably see two figures who are Nizel and Fen the Gravedigger talking in the distance. You can see them, you can make them out. There's also the Grand Cemetery. This is quite the opposite of the little cemetery. It is all giant terraced mausoleums and obelisks and all manner of things like that. I mean, that kind of stuff is kind of everywhere, but there's one particular collection of them that looms. You'll also see in the distance, there appears to be, you can kind of make out their silhouette in the fog. There appears to be like a funeral procession going on right now. And of course, there are just little standalone mausoleum structures all over the island. And of course, the Morning Tower right in the center, which looms over all, right?
I think I would like to explore the Grand Cemetery then, because those figures are already revealed, but what is inside the cemetery is not yet brought to light. So,
Indeed. What are you going to do, Old Smoke?
Um, I'm good going to the Grand Cemetery as well. I am curious, but I would call to the others that we see, the Fen the Gravedigger and the new arrival. Fen the Gravedigger, I guess I will have met on many other occasions
You
coming
might
up.
have, yeah, you might have done, yeah. I mean, maybe when you first got to Elegy, we don't even know how long you've been collapsed here on Elegy. It could be 100
Right.
years for all we know. We don't know. Um,
But I'm on
come,
mission as soon as I wake up.
yes, we'll get back to this in a moment.
Yeah.
Shelf. Vera, who means you no harm anymore, says, yes, there are stirrings. I can point you in their direction easily enough. But wouldn't you rather go in there? And she points to the Morning Tower. That is what I seek.
What is there?
That is the Morning Tower, now sealed away. But inside, the Sisters of the Long Wake, who eternally mourned the world that was. I mostly just want a warm place to stay, now that I'll no longer be welcomed back to the Veiled Lodge.
I I have no headquarters either any longer. I could use one. Is this morning tower, can it be opened with strength?
Make the information move with presence.
Yeah. First roll of new Christmas dice.
Oh,
There
very
we
good.
go. Okay, that's right. So that is that's a 6.
6. Well, well, well. If it isn't the traitor actively disavowing her oath to put the dead back into their graves. Stepping into the clearing where you and Vera are is another woman. This one also wearing veils, but these are gray veils, and they're layered quite thickly, and they're soaked with fragranced embalming oils. You can see underneath her veils, she has a scroll and a little quill. And she says, your name has been cast off in the time of the old fire, and now you go by the nickname
Shelf.
oh, very convenient, thank you, Shelf. Shelf, as she writes, I regret to inform you that you have violated the laws of death, and I, Threnody, as a servant of the Black Cortege, am required to bring you back into compliance with said laws. As she
Black
writes,
Cortez.
On her little parchment, you see that what she's writing is appearing on your arm like a tattoo. She's named you in violation of the laws of death, having risen from your tomb. And she, Threnody, is now with remit. to put you back. You are taking the condition marked by Threnody. Please note that. Vera says to you, Shelf, I'm very sorry. You seem like a nice enough fellow. It's going to be like this for you and the other Embers until you reach the throne, I fear. And she just turns and leaves you with this member of the Black Cortege and walks off. And we'll come back to this in a moment. I owe you a clue, yes, Nizal?
Yes.
Fen says, it has been so long since the last Ember left the island, I can't quite remember the process of calling Pale Crossing. I'm sure there are ways of finding out, clues buried all over the island, like this one. And he points into a nearby grave. I dug this earlier today, expecting it to be, well, in truth, I expect it to be filled with bodies. At a certain point, you stop counting how many go into each hole. That's neither here nor there. And he points, and inside there is a skeleton laying in the pit. But the skull has been removed and replaced with a round mirror.
Ooh.
That seems like a clue to something, wouldn't you say?
You didn't do that.
No, I'm not the artistic sort. I just dig the graves. I don't ornament them.
Where would you suggest I go digging?
And
I don't want to undo any of your hard work.
Here is when Gavrin and Old Smoke. Gavrin, didn't you say you were going to go over to where they're at?
I was going to go to the Grand
Oh, you're going to the
Sanctuary.
Grand. Oh, was anybody going to where
I
they're at? I
think
guess.
Old Smoke was going to call to me, I think.
Oh, that's right. Old Smoke calls to you at that point. And Fen says, he finally woke up. He's been laying in the muck for the last 10 years. Not dead, technically. And so I couldn't dig a hole for him.
I'm sure you could have.
I could have, but I've got so many to dig already. I'm not going to waste my energy on the technically alive.
Right. Abruptly leave without saying anything.
Indeed. You can meet up with Old Smoke. And you'll even see Gavrin the Everlit. Gavrin, do you have just candles about you all the time? Like, what is that like?
Yeah, I have the candelabra, right? Like
The burning branch, yeah.
the burning branch. So I think, yeah, there's sort of this I'm imagining like sort of this ethereal, like elfish glow almost. Like if you've seen Lord of the Rings and all the elves kind of have like this diffuse of light around them. Like I think it's kind of like that. And it's just kind of moving this little glow of light.
You can all be kind of vaguely together, at least going in one direction, right? Have the scene as you wish. I'll check back in with Shelf in a moment.
I'm not going after Gavrin. I don't want that. I'll go up to Old Smoke who called to me. Well met.
I see you have just arisen. I am Old Smoke, and have been waiting for the reawakening. This is Gavrin.
I'll motion as Gavin moves away from us.
I think like realizing that people are like actually wanting to be introduced, Gavin is like a little awkward, like, oh, okay, it's not, I gotta be polite, I guess.
It is
And
all
again,
it's for the
the
few days.
I think again, sort of the hand on the chest, a little not the candelabra kind of waves in the wind. Do we would I recognize Nizel as a Crux Druid? Jason, is
I
that like
I was
knowledge that we have or
gonna
Maybe.
say
What do you
I
think,
would like
Nizal?
to kind of I think as I'm approaching them, I'm sort of shuffling my vines down a little bit to maybe hide something on my arm. And I'm wearing Harrow the Martyr Killer or the Martyr Catcher.
Catcher.
Harrow, yes, back on my hip so it's not like glinting in the sunlight or anything.
So Nizal's trying to hide her symbols of office. Fen saw it and was like, "Oh, you're a druid. Got it."
Right.
I look more corpse-like than either of you, so strangely enough.
I think Gavin looks at Nizel and will ask, was it today for you too when you woke?
Yes. Do you know what woke you?
The old fire, I think. Something called me. Something that I knew or remembered once.
Hmm. Do you know how to get off this island?
Well, usually one gets off an island with a boat.
Yes. Do you know how to call the boat?
No, not yet.
But you intend to find out.
Well, if we are to go to that, and I kind of like nod at the tower, I suppose a boat would be welcome.
Just a real quick check-in. Ken, Zoom is squelching your smoke voice, so you'll want to add just a little bit more timbre into it so that it doesn't get squelched. Sorry, continue.
Then well met.
Well met. And I think there is a look there where Gavin can clearly tell that you're trying to hide something. And he's not calling it out, but there is like that, okay, kind of look.
Nizelle is also very uneasy being like keeping company with a pseudo-religious figure, as she recognizes the candle bearer to be. So,
Well, and like as we noted in the introduction to the Crux Druid, everyone hated the Crux Druids, right? They were not popular during the time of the Old Fire. So, yeah. Let me check on the shelf. Shelf, Vera wished you good luck and walked off and left you with Threnody of the Black Cortege, who has now drawn her weapon. You hear the distinctive shh of silver being drawn from scabbard. You can see the shape of it beneath her oiled veils, and you have the sentence inscribed upon your arm currently, literally marked by Threnody. What do you do?
Shelf, he stayed his hand on Name Taker for a moment. It's drawn fully now. But I think initially he's being a bit, going to say, the Black Lodge, the Cortege, I know not this order.
The Black Cortege of the Veiled Lodge. We serve death himself. I say herself. It hasn't been sorted, to be perfectly honest. Your very existence, Ember, is an affront to death. Anything that would try to unshake death's embrace must be punished.
That should go for you as well, then.
What do you mean?
Isn't it your time?
Are you going to attack?
Yeah, in the moment of confusion, he'll say,
I think it is, and he will go to attack.
Yeah. Let's do the move. I think because it's still, I mean, it's kind of always just a gloomy gray, but you're out in the open. I'm going to say it's the light move, and you also have a little bit of time to kind of prepare. So we're going to say this is the light move, It says, when you do something risky or face something you fear, name what you're afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail or lose your nerve?
I think I'm afraid that hmm. I think I'm afraid that if he how to put this, that in being marked, in being named in this way for the grave, he will have immediately been sort of like shamed for as per like the requirement of the Nameless Legion to not be named, right? He's literally now inscribed with a name.
Interesting. Let's see how this goes. So you are going to be rolling with vitality. And you have pulled out Name Taker, and that is one of your relics. Just for playtesting purposes, I'm going to kind of lay this out a little bit. Name Taker is a long sword of flawless steel, its blade etched with names from hilt to tip, every life the night has taken. When drawn, the blade hums, a low chorus of quiet voices. There's some other things there. The point being, you have aspects on Name Taker. And if you wish, right now, you can mark one of them to get advantage on your die roll, which means you would roll 3d6 and take the two highest. You don't have to. They're not easy to unmark, but so that's one thing to know. But if you want to have the best opportunity to defeat Threnody, then you can certainly do that.
All right. So yeah, so still sort of marking it, so it can still be marked the same as items can in other Brentwood games for
Indeed.
advantage.
Yes, it can do that. It can also serve other
Then-
purposes too, but yeah.
Yeah, I see. Okay. Okay, and the and when marking a box, I guess do we necessarily like need to sort of like apply the part that is in bold?
Yes, the bolded part has to be relevant to what you're doing. You have to say
Okay.
how it's relevant. So the long sword of flawless steel, that's the pretty easy case here, right? Like you're using its function as a long sword of flawless steel to defeat Threnody, right? But you can get more creative if you want, or however you want to do it.
Yeah. I well, I think that hmm, she has marked me with my nickname. I think I want to say that the um kind of like in mimicry of her ritual practice, the blade is humming low, a chorus of quiet voices repeating the names inscribed upon it. Can I say that it is humming her name that she has told to me, right? That is, he is humming her name before her life has even been taken. She's already
Sure.
dead.
Yeah, mark it. I love it. That's great. So you can mark that and roll 3d6 plus and then take the two highest and add your vitality, which is you have a really high vitality actually.
Okay. Okay, that is so that is a total of uh, that's a total of 14.
Nice. The move says on a 12 plus, you do what you intended or you hold steady, and the keeper will tell you some extra benefit or advantage you receive. I'm going to give you a clue in addition to being able to handle Threnody however you want. You have narrative authority, so please describe the fight with Threnody.
Okay. The so the as they step towards each other, Shelf bringing up Name Taker for a sort of low sweeping swing. There's the sort of like wind that blows. I'd like to say that for a moment, sort of some wind blows across the island, and the sound from the the sort of like holes from the masonry holes screaming sort of echoes through the air, along with the whistling from Name Taker flying through the air, and just sort of like below that cacophonous wind, is just the sword just whispers, "Threnody," and she is already dead. Her head is cleaved from her skull, sort of like wide angle shot, right? Like blood, the shadow of blood spewing, um, and that is that.
Fantastic. I'll give you your clue when we come back from just a short break. Just take like a 3 minute break. I'll give you a clue from Threnody in a moment, Shelf. For now, let's get back to Nizel and Old Smoke and ahead of them, Gavrin the Everlit. We'll start with Gavrin. Gavrin, you said you were going to the Grand Cemetery, yes?
Yeah.
I think as you step in through the gate of the Grand Cemetery, you brush past a marble angel whose face has been worn smooth by centuries of rain. And you find wilted flowers on a grave. The tombstone has just a single word, forgive, etched on it. But then beyond all that, terraced mausoleums rising above the sea, their marble stained with salt. The air smells faintly of stone dust and old incense. Let's paint the scene, everyone. Here in the Grand Cemetery, grief was a performance meant to outlast the mourners themselves. What symbol of pride or vanity still lingers among the tombs, refusing to surrender its place even as the world decays around it?
There's a sort of broad terrace walk that has like they look like estates because they're not just the grave, but they've also sort of penned in around with little stone fences, and gardened. It's all in ruins now, but they've claimed more land than they needed for the body.
Across or like near one of the graves, there is this really like beautiful and ornately decorated bench so that you could like sit there very prettily while you mourned, but you wouldn't have to stoop to kneeling in the, on the ground. But you could sort of sit there very picturesque and look sad.
I think in the middle, perfectly centered in the Grand Cemetery, almost the culminating piece of architecture, is a domed amphitheater where mourners would congregate to have not just commemorative ceremonies, but plays and balls and places to be seen, very much being in their best mourning attire.
I want to say that there are some graves that are opened, and there is no body, but not because but there is no body because there never was meant to be a body. Instead, there are objects, there are dolls, there are swords, there are bits of armor, graves for material possessions.
Very fantastic picture painted by all. Gavrin, what do you do?
I think I think this is sort of the moment where it like starts to dawn on him where he is and all of these graves and all of this death. And I think he will go to one of those mausoleums, half hoping or maybe not hoping that somebody woke up there. But I think as he goes there, he will say, "How long since the light reached you?" And I think I will try to, with this candelabra, like illuminate the space and see if that like draws somebody to me.
Oh, I like it. Unless you're doing some other Ember move, I think it's probably just the information move.
Yes. Because my only move now, I would have to make
Make a
candles,
candle.
which I haven't done. Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. So let's do the information move. How would you say you're doing this? This is probably, it might be reason because you're trying to like, you thought to use your
I
fire to draw
was,
people to you.
yeah, or is it Cinder? Because I believe that, like this light will draw the good people to me,
No,
like
cinder only comes into play when you mark a
mm,
cinder. So
okay.
until then, it's
Okay.
not. Or you use one of your ember moves. Um,
Right.
I think for now we'll go with. I think it's presence probably still actually, because
Presence makes
the
sense.
candle light is like a reflection of your presence. So
All right. Oh wait, you can roll on the keeper?
you
Oh, that's
can,
really
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's try that then.
I don't know where to see it, but I know that you can.
Well, it's a 6. So don't roll on the keeper,
Indeed.
no.
I think as you've kind of you're kind of waving burning branch, this big iron candelabra, which is like the tool of your office. Also, it's just heavy enough to be a weapon too, covered in candles. The the fire is cutting through the mist and the fog, peeling it away. And someone was drawn by it. You see approaching you a person, a withered noble in shredded finery, staggering toward you. They are pulling at their own clothes, shredding them even more. Grieve! Grieve with me! Grieve until the stars drown in our tears! Why aren't you grieving? Your tear ducts are dry. Let me help you find your sorrow. All is sorrow. All must grieve. And this person just lunges towards you, Gavrin. We'll come back to this. Nizel and Old Smoke, you're not anywhere near there. I think you're still walking across the grounds. Um, what are you both doing right now?
I am walking slowly because I want to test the soil with my feet as I go. So I'm kind of poking toes into
Oh
the
yeah,
dirt as I walk.
that's pretty good. For purposes of like finding something, or just
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get a sense of how buried the spirit of the land is. Like how hard it would be to reach. That's what I'm trying to do. What I might find is
sure, sure,
anyone's
sure.
guess.
Yeah, yeah. I think like periodically the ground does give a little bit, slightly under your step, and there's a sigh that escapes the soil, like stale air being released from a forgotten coffin below, or something like that. But I like this. This is really good. Do an information move with reason, and while you're
Okay.
doing that, Old Smoke, what are you doing?
Um, I think I might have been distracted if I overheard the combat with Shelf, because I'm kind of attuned to those sort of I think martial things that might be out there.
Hmm.
So if I did pick up on that, I probably would have went silent and leaned in whatever direction while Nizelle's exploring the earth. And if not, then I would probably just be rambling about gathering the others before we go to the boatman.
No, I like the idea of you like being sensitive to this danger, right? Go ahead and make the information move with vitality, actually, because it's your body, right?
8 for me.
8, and what'd you get, Nazal?
13.
13. Wow, okay. We'll come back to both of those things in a moment. Shelf, you sent You separated Threnody from her head, and assuming you give a quick look over the body, or a quick once over,
Mhm.
you'll actually see that she's clutching something in her hand. She has in her hand mirror shards. Kind of, it seems like maybe she squeezed them very tightly at the moment of death, and so the mirror shards have cut into her skin a little bit. That's weird enough, I suppose, but the clue part of it is the mirror shards reflect not the gray, overcast sky above, but a bright, sunny sky.
Hmm.
And that is your clue.
Right.
So what do you do at this point?
I think at this point, I think at this point, Shelf is a little confused. Maybe a little confused about the situation, but like after what just transpired, is going to walk, is going to kind of make a roundabout way towards the Morning Tower probably by way of the Grand Cemetery.
That's good. Old Smoke, you might actually be able to, like, maybe we'll just say you kind of like, since you got a 7 to 9, I'm going to say that you go.
I'm willing to stoke the fire if that helps improve my chances.
I don't think you need to now. I mean, you can if you want to, just to get up 10, but it's not, there's nothing super dangerous that's about to happen. You, but you can decide after I tell you. You'll hear the sound of the distinctive sound of blades being drawn, right? And the distinctive sound of sharp steel cleaving through flesh, right? You don't fight with weapons, but I'm sure you're very familiar with them. And maybe when you go like over the hill, you might actually see the person who is Shelf walking away from the body in the general direction of the Grand Cemetery and the Morning Tower, just in that direction of the island. But you'll also see down the hill someone sitting on a stone, a knight of some sort based off the armor they're wearing, but in repose or in relaxed state. The helmet is off, sword is sort of like on the ground at his side. And he actually waves up at you as you kind of are looking down from this little rise.
One of the
Uh,
typical faces I may have recognized from earlier incursions to Elegy.
no, I don't think so. Um, but I owe you a clue, but the complication on a 7 to 9, the complication is the only way you're going to get that clue is if you go interact with this person. So,
I'll happily interact with him.
dude, so you can kind of make your way down there, and the person who's sitting on this stone says, "Hello, I I can see that you have the glow of the old fire within you." This person is wearing tarnished mail beneath a traveler's cloak, and as you get closer, there's a smell of rust and old incense. You can see that the sword is wrapped rather carefully in oilcloth. It's wrapped in such a way that it would make you think he doesn't intend to draw it. And you can also sense the old fire in him,
Hmm.
but it is very, very dim and cold.
Do I assume one of the Embers, given that the awakening has just happened?
He says, "You're wondering if I'm an ember, like you." And the answer is yes, I am an ember, but I am an ember grown cold. I am Sir Kalen. And you are?
I am smoke.
Old Smoke. Yes. That is a fine name for a servant of the old fire, wouldn't you say?
I am the poison in the cup, the whisper in the dark. I am the unseen shadow and the unheard footfall. I have come to end the dimning. Will you join me?
No. No, I'm afraid not.
Then you are no ember. You are a cinder, an ash, a remnant of the old world, and nothing more. Elegy is a fitting resting place for you.
Yes. Yes. The fire did burn in me once, but it burns in me no more. It burned in me quite bright, actually. Bright enough to blind.
As long as you draw breath, brother, you can still join the fight.
No, no, I cannot. I learned long ago that what it costs to carry that light is too much. The old fire, you see, doesn't choose the worthy, it chooses the willing. And I am no longer willing.
You would rather go into the dark, the cold, the unknown.
I think you are right. This is my place. I will wait here. In the morning tower, perhaps, should it ever open. But I will wait here until, well, I suppose until the world is truly no more. Or perhaps I will grow weary and bored, and I will leave this plane even earlier.
I feel a great sadness for you, but I will not mourn your passing.
I suppose then you're going to continue your journey. You say to destroy the Dimning. Good luck with that. It is an unusual mission for an Ember, but I will help you as I can. I don't.
Grateful for any assistance you can offer.
I don't know how to call the boat back to these shores anymore. I used to know at one time. But I do know that over there, just across the dell, you'll see a trail of candle wax, drippings that lead all the way to the shore and then stop. And that's your clue.
Perhaps this trail is made by Gavrin, the candle bearer.
Who knows? But in any case, that's your clue.
All right, thank you.
Well, let's go to Nizel. What'd you get? 13?
13. Oh,
Hey.
2 6s.
Very good indeed. How are you about? Oh, no, well, you can't get a Lord clue on 12 plus yet. You can once we get to the lands remaining. So you just get your clue.
Mm-hmm.
You said you were kind of testing the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really interesting. I think I previously described how like when you step on the ground, you would sometimes like get a bit of trapped coffin air that comes up through the ground, right?
Yes.
One time you do that, and there's a voice on that stale breath that says, "The sea remembers." That is your clue. Gavrin the Everlit. This withered noble has launched themselves towards you. What do you do?
I plant um I plant the burning branch firmly in the ground and I open my arms in a hug and receive him. Comfort him.
Very good. This is going to be, I think it's still the light move, because because of your candles and you're outside. This is gonna be the light move for now. What are you afraid is gonna happen right now?
I think, I think the obvious one is that that comforting this person is no longer possible and not fighting back was absolutely the wrong choice.
Dear. Go ahead and roll with. Weirdly, I think it's composure. Yeah, I think composure is the right move here.
All right. That is a 9.
You will be able to comfort the withered noble, but not before, not before he thrashes against you enough to like scratch the shit out of you, and so you're gonna have like a condition of like scratches and bites or something. I'm gonna let you have narrative control though. Describe what it looks like.
Yeah, I think he opens his arms and this noble kind of, it's not like a hug, it's like clawing to the face, like trying to claw Gavrin's eyes open to produce these tears. And I think some tears do start rolling over his cheeks just in pain of having these like dirty nails in his eyelids. But Gavrin just very calmly even as these claws are like these nails are raking over his cheeks and his neck, just very calmly like holds this person. And I think it's this like not knowing what to do with that. And he just holds them and says very quietly, "Be blinded no more. The light has returned." And I think we see sort of these candles flicker a little bit. And then the fight just, I don't think they're necessarily comforted, but like the fight kind of bleeds out of this noble until they kind of just exhaustedly like slump against Gavrin.
I love it. Yeah, the condition will be just like scratches or something like that. I think at this point I'd like to fast forward just a smidge. Uh, Shelf, you were kind of going in the direction of the Grand Cemetery by way of the Morning Tower. I like that. Um, Nizel and Old Smoke, Nizel especially, you were kind of, we're going to say that you were kind of near the Morning Tower already. Old Smoke, you can get there quickly enough. And Gavrin, you can see the other embers in the shadow of the Morning Tower. Something that you're all aware of is that grave markers start to break. You hear the ripping and cracking of stone. You see burial plots, some in the Grand Mausoleum, some just in little burial plots dotted on the island, begin to burst open, soil exploding into the air. You can all feel something really foul on the air. We are getting ready to do our first struggle. This is capital S struggle. Struggles are what we call the epic boss scale encounters in the lands remaining. These are usually combat encounters, but not always. The way it usually works is there are 4 movements, starting with an initial wave attack that you all have to survive, and ending with a sequence where we see you strike a killing blow against the enemy. Importantly, all you have to do is listen to what I say, imagine the scene as I'm describing it to you, answer my questions, and then roll whatever dice are called for. Unlike in other games, or in other parts of this game, you don't get to approach a struggle in whatever way you want, though you should certainly try to be creative when answering my questions and narrating the results of die rolls. Another way to think about it is that we're telling the story of this encounter, its highs, its lows, its big dramatic moments. We're not simulating the encounter. We're going to do our first struggle when we get back from a 5-minute break. Every struggle has 4 movements. This is the first one. A black nimbus blooms in the air above the graves, swallowing light and sound alike. The earth begins to convulse beneath it. Soil splits, coffins rupture, bones tear themselves free of the ground in violent arcs, clattering and shrieking as they are dragged upward. Skulls snap against ribs, femurs grind into spines. Thousands of bones whirl around the nimbus, pulled by a force that does not care how they fit together. A shape forms. It is vaguely humanoid only by excess. A towering mass of skeletal limbs layered atop one another. Rib cages stack like armor. Vertebrae braided into thick columns. Empty eye sockets stare from every angle. Jawbones chatter in ceaseless, arrhythmic prayer. The thing stands crooked and immense, held together by nothing but the black force at its core. The Grave Gestalt is risen. Let's paint the scene, everyone. As the Grave Gestalt finishes assembling, what detail makes it clear that this is not a single spirit, but a collective will born from neglect, mass death, and graves left too long unattended?
I think the sound that it makes when it moves is almost like this, like 1,000 screams at once.
I think the bones themselves, there are some that are clearly ancient, some that are newer, some that are childlike sized skulls, some that are adults, others that have been terribly bashed in. And so it's just this cacophony of misshapen bones.
And some of them appear to be in conflict with each other. Like inside this mass of things, there's like bones from different periods that are like at war, but like sort of just this roiling mess inside of the thing.
Hmm. And there are further kind of roiling masses of bones, like particularly sort of like I imagine them sort of like particularly spinal columns, and arm bones, leg bones, that are reaching up out of the graves, kind of propping up the whole thing.
The nimbus pulses and the bones explode outward. Shards of splintered femur and jagged rib whip through the air like shrapnel. Smaller clusters of bones wrench themselves free from the Gestalt's body, hitting the ground and immediately reassembling into clawing, snapping skeletons that surge toward you in waves. They move without coordination, driven by hunger rather than command, piling atop one another to drag you down. This is not an attack meant to be precise, it is meant to overwhelm. To all of you, describe how you attempt to survive the opening assault, the storm of bone shards, the clawing skeletons, the crushing press of the dead, and then roll the dark move, starting with Gavrin.
Gavin will hold up the branch, and in sort of this twirling motion as this attack like comes at him, there's all this candle wax that like drips. And where it hits the skeletons and everything, it's like almost like a pulse from the middle, like the light repulses them and the candle wax pushes them back.
Fantastic. This is the dark move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
That with this dying light around me, it's not enough. There's not enough light to hold them back.
Indeed, it's worse than that. You are going to be skewered by a spray of bones flying at you. Would you like to mark one of your aspects to get advantage on the roll?
Sure. Let's see. I will use the fact that this light cannot be extinguished. So no matter how much there is, they cannot get through the light
I love it.
for advantage.
This is going to be, I'm not going to make your condition apply yet, so you get to roll with advantage. It's going to be with, I think it's probably presence again.
Sounds fair. With advantage, that is a 9.
We'll come back to this. Nizelle of the Red Canopy, you're in a different part of the yard, but you are there nevertheless. How do you survive this assault? The animated skeletons, the flying bones.
Well, I suppose it would be too much to ask. There's a tree somewhere nearby.
Sure, go for it. What do you do?
I want to scramble up a tree and be in the branches and like swinging the Tenderbark Confessor down to kind of like bat them away so that they can't like climb their way up this tree.
That's fantastic. This is going to be the dark move with vitality. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
Well, I'm afraid that there's the mass of them is too much, and this tree is rotted and decayed, and so they'll actually bring the entire tree down as they attempt to climb it.
It's worse than that. You get pulled down into a mass of angry bones, which pull you down forever into a grave. Go ahead and roll a vitality, please.
Yeah.
And if you're marking aspects, tell me.
I'm not marking aspects, but I got a 3.
A 3. Old Smoke. You are at a distance to see this towering thing in the shadow of the morning tower, and the bones and the bones are flying at you. The skeletons are scattering everywhere. What do you do? How do you try to survive this assault?
I think Old Smoke uses as much concentration and almost goes into a meditative state to reach out to every motion of this bone thing as it rumbles across the ground and groans out its cacophony of screams. And I'm going to close my eyes and fling out as many strands of my linen shroud as I can to knock bones aside from myself and my companions.
I think this is going to be with composure. Are you going to be marking any aspects?
No, but I can get a reroll with Mouse in the Tower should I need it. So I think I feel confident from that perspective.
Fantastic. This is going to be with composure. Go ahead and roll.
Oh, I might be stoking up this one. Yeah.
Actually, well, I have to say, what are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
Oh, I will be eviscerated by bones.
I'm not sure it's worse than that, so let's go ahead and go with that. What'd you get?
I got a 6.
Okay, fantastic. Shelf, how do you survive the initial assault or try to?
Okay, so since this is the dark move, can I call on the Nameless Legion at all?
I would say yes, because especially since you were kind of approaching the scene, I think you might have time to do that. Do you want to try to, what are you going to call them to what purpose?
So I think it's like in the moment, he's seeing the mass of bone form and is like, shields, where are shields? I need you, my shieldman. To close ranks. Yeah.
Let's read this move. It says, this is your core move. The remnants of the Nameless Legion endure as a core of specters that reveal themselves when called upon by you. There's a little bit more, but for now, when When you call upon them, roll with Cinder, please.
That's a 7 minus 2, so that's a 5.
Wow. So on a miss. Okay, so when you call upon them, you roll. If you've gotten a hit, some always appear and they serve in different capacities. On a miss, however, you're going to roll a single die. That many knights appear, and all must be named immediately, meaning they don't do anything. They just show up and wait for their name. So go ahead and roll that single die.
Okay, 4.
Okay. Otherwise, once you realize that these specters are just standing there, what do you do to survive the assault as bones fly through their spectral bodies?
Okay, yeah. I think then Shelf reaches behind himself, grabs a big headstone, rips it out of the earth, and like slams it down as a shield in front of him.
Nice. This is going to be with Vitality.
Okay.
What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
Oh yeah. So, God, I guess I'm actually afraid that having called upon the Nameless Legion, I'm afraid of seeing like in the mass of bones that these members of the Nameless Legion are part of the mass of bones and they are against me.
Oh, it's worse than that. The 4 specters you called, they kill you.
There you go. Okay. Okay, so with a 3, that's a 9.
Fantastic. Gavin the Everlit, you got a mid result, yes?
Yes.
I think you are going to survive it just fine, except that I think you have a bit of a problem. I think one of the bones actually severs your Achilles tendon, and that's a condition, and it's going to make it really hard to get around unless you wish to mark the old fire or to stoke the fire to avoid that.
Sure.
You going to mark the old fire or the new fire, or the fire to come?
Oh boy. I'm really tempted to to go for the Gatling Gate.
It's up to you.
Unless this Old Smoke you guys really wanted to, I think I will.
For now,
All right.
we'll worry about that later. For now, you have a 10 plus then. Please go ahead and describe how you survived the initial assault.
Yeah, I think there is this sort of this splash, this wave of candle wax, and as it starts to like drip over these bones and these skeletons, they kind of like freeze almost like in that motion. And when they stand there, it's almost beautiful now. Like it's almost like they're statues, like there's something made of them. And I think what Gavin was really afraid of was that with his dying light, there wouldn't be enough. Like it would be despair rather than like the physical act of dying that would really get him. But I think like as it's sort of working, the light starts to pulse out from the burning branch brighter and brighter until it's like almost blinding. And I think he stands there in the middle with it just covered in wax as well as these streaks of armor are like re-strengthened anew.
Nizel, you try to scramble up the tree, but you discover too late that the tree is brittle, and there is a mass of animate skeletons that have like crawled all around the base of the tree, and you hear the snap of the branch as you fall into that pile of skeletons, and you can almost hear the Gestalt in the distance in the shadow of the Morning Tower. You almost can like feel its dark satisfaction as the skeletons clamor all around you. The earth collapses beneath all of you, and you all just fall down into the darkness. And your ember was snuffed a little too early, I fear. unless you wish to stoke the fire.
I believe I do wish to stoke the fire.
Indeed. Uh,
The old fire.
indeed. Mark the first box. We'll deal with it later. For now, I'm going to tell you that you are just stuck in the tree. And so you're a little bit like useless right now at this time, as long as you're stuck
I
in the
do.
tree and there's skeletons like clambering, trying to clamber up. Let's go over to Old Smoke. What'd you get on your die roll? You got a miss, right?
Yeah, 6.
You did. I think your mentors at the glass door, or the crystal door, rather, I think your mentors at the crystal door would appreciate the beauty of a perfectly aerodynamic shard of femur flying through the air and skewering you right in the eye, pulping your eyeball and cracking against the back of your skull. Later, Sir Kalen, the cold ember, will stand over your body and just... That's what happens when you seek the throne of the old king. And then he'll just wander off, unless you're going to stoke the fire.
I let me ask you, can I use my mouse in the tower to get a reroll on one of my die first?
You can. So let's read the move. What does it say?
It says you've mastered a form of martial arts inspired by the story told by small children raised in the order. The aspects of the story function as any other aspect. Additionally, when in unarmed combat, you may mark one reroll.
That's right. You can, this is yes. Just technically, this is unarmed combat. I would say. Go ahead and which of the so you have what are your dice that you're what's your dice that you're going to reroll?
I've got I rolled a 1 and a 4, so
You can reroll the 1.
I'll use no army could shake. So I think that's the appropriate spot to mark.
Oh yeah, indeed. That's part of the story. We'll learn the story later.
Oh, that's much better. That gives me a 9.
Okay, good. Instead, you just have that same shard. I think that same shard still hits your eye. It just doesn't pierce your brain. And so you have a condition.
Then I would be willing to stoke the fire to avoid any contact with the shard in my eye, please.
That would make it so the result would be I'm going to make you blind in one of your eyes unless you stoke the fire.
I will stoke the old fire.
Fantastic. Instead, please describe how your meditation helps you avoid all this.
I think because I said I had closed my eyes, that I sense the direction that the most dangerous shards coming towards me are, and I whipped out with the parts of my shroud that have the weighted lead in them and literally pull them out of the air, smashing them together, maybe even whipping a few back at the bone creature as well.
Shelf, remind me what you got on your roll.
That was a mixed.
Mixed. And so you were just kind of basically trying to like guard yourself, right?
Yeah.
I think we're going to keep it simple and no further result. I think it's enough for you. Just go ahead and describe how you endure.
All right. So I think like calling on the shieldmen and like maybe they appear, maybe they even appear in formation, but they're not physical.
They're not doing
don't
anything.
do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just sort of like shields out, but the bones just pass right through them. And
Just waiting for their name.
Yeah, he was just waiting for their name. Grabs up a headstone, slams it down in front of him, and just kind of like endures, like holding it out, feeling the bones, mostly hitting against the shield, some scratching against his gauntlets.
Let's go to the second movement. No matter how you attempt to strike this entity, Every wound closes immediately. Bones shatter, ribs explode outwards, skulls split clean in two, and then the fragments just twist back together, dragged inward by the nimbus like filings to a lodestone. Every strike only feeds the storm, giving the Gestalt more loose pieces to work with. All of you, in turn, please describe what it looks like as you struggle in vain to tear this thing apart. Except for Nizelle, who's still stuck in the tree. So you all get to, at this point, we rush forward a little bit to attack the thing, but you're just not doing any good. So just describe what it looks like as you futilely try to harm it. We'll start with Gavrin.
I think I marked I'm now the herald of the kindled heart. So I think, which it means that to bear the light is to burn. So I think I'm trying to burn it. Like by now, this like candelabra, it's kind of done like that fantasy effect where like all the candles are just like one giant bonfire, and I am like wielding it like a staff and trying to alight these bones. But even if they burst in this immense heat, it doesn't matter because they just crack back and we just like see this smoke and this fire, but it's not touching anything except maybe the ground that is now scorched.
Old Smoke, how do you futilely try to hurt this thing?
Yeah, I think as I whip pieces of vertebrae and rib back at it, it becomes evident pretty quickly that no matter how elegant my throws, I'm just hurling more ammunition and projectiles for it to fire back at all the rest of us. And that there's some entity or other force that's using the bones, and the bones themselves aren't the focus of our attack, or shouldn't be the focus of our attack.
Shelf, the members of your legion might be there. They can't offer mechanical benefit, but they might still be there in the fight with you. What happens as you futilely try to attack this thing?
Oh gosh, I think the futility, well, based on those earlier rolls, I think the futility is in trying to command the Legion. I think he's going kind of like sort of like moving forth and starting to call out to
Phelan, Ironbound, Vayner the Steadfast, Kor the Shielded, Taven, most loyal of us all. To me, please.
as they are disappearing around him. Oh, and I will mark off those names.
The please was the best part of that. Nizelle, what are you doing?
Trying to see if there's an end to this in the opposite direction that I could head for.
Well, no, you're stuck in the tree, so I just want to know what
I'm
that
stuck,
looks
I'm
like.
stuck in the tree, yes, but I'm looking for if there's something out there that I could maybe plan an escape to.
Fantastic. I love it. You have a high vantage point, right? The third movement. The only way to destroy the Grave Gestalt is to reach the black nimbus at its center. I'm going to pose this to Gavrin. Describe how you attempt to reach or otherwise expose the dark energy at the heart of this thing, and then roll the dark move.
I think if Old Smoke and Shelv are okay with it, I think sort of having realized that like just fighting it is useless. I think maybe Old Smoke is sort of like making a way for me, and Shelf with your shield or this tombstone that you have. I think like Gavrin's sort of in the middle with this light, and I think it's this very like Caravaggio like effect of just the light and the darkness and everything else is dim. Like there's just this focal point of these two opposing forces as the light is just drawing out the only thing that stays dark.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that. What are you afraid is going to happen if you fail?
I think, yeah, I think I'm sort of having found this renewed belief and this zealotry almost for it. I think I'm afraid of despair. That I'm sort of immediately going to be shown that this belief is nothing in the face of this darkness.
It's worse than that. No matter how this combat resolves, you will permanently snuff your own candlelight at the end of it. This is going to be with, I think it's probably composure. Or no, cinder,
Mhm.
because you marked a cinder. Or no, you haven't. It's not marked technically, but I like it as cinder if you want to roll it with cinder. Yeah.
Right. Um, can I use my aspect of the burning branch that it lights the way in the dark places of the world
Sure.
to bring this out?
And after you roll, if you need it, you can also take help from the others as well.
Ooh, okay,
Because
interesting.
you got a
You know
minus
what?
two, so you might need it.
Yeah, you know what? Then I won't mark that because I kind of want to see how the help works. So
Okay,
I'll
sure.
just roll. I upped it with one, so I'll only roll with -1. But
Okay.
well, that's a 6.
All you need is a seven. If Shelf or Old Smoke or Nazelle, if you can make the case, if something one of your aspects could help here, you can mark it to bump up Gavrin's roll to a 7.
I have a case.
Go ahead.
On my heartwood nails, I have Vein of You to purify the dead. And I think that she is not intending necessarily to help with this fight, but one of the skeletons has sort of clawed its way up to her tree, and she grabs the vein and just stabs it into the skull here, and that is enough to disrupt the magic enough that like it makes an opening for Gavrin.
I love it. Gavrin, why don't you go ahead and take that, and you have a 7 now. No further complication. It works. The black nimbus is drawn out of the bones, like they kind of fall away. They're drawn, the darkness is drawn to your light. Um, the fourth movement says, let's paint the scene, everyone. As you all stare into the black cloud of energy, what do you see or otherwise experience that makes you think, just briefly, that it would be better if you let this thing carry you back to your grave?
I think the burning of this light is beautiful and gorgeous and hopeful, but it is excruciatingly painful. It is realizing like how hollow I think he realizes in this moment like how hollow he is inside and how he can never show anyone that because he is the candle bearer. He must give hope, but there is so little left to burn from. And I think there is that brief temptation of just rest. You don't have to hurt like this. You don't have to do this. But he can't because then the dark would take over, and so he stays.
Shelf is looking, no longer sees the specters of his comrades standing alongside him, and instead is forced to look forward on into the dark, unraveling mass. And I think in the bones that were part of the Gestalt, he sees remnants of Vowplate, and he sees remnants of the bones of those legionnaires that he just called upon. And the last thing that he hears out of those hollow skulls is all of them asking, "Why did you sleep so long?"
As Nizelle is pulling her hand back from where she just fended off a skeleton, some of the darkness sort of sticks to her hand. And this is the land is not dead. The world is not dead. I heard it speak to me, and I believe that it is alive and I am alive. But it is very deeply sick. And it's like it's so easy to pull that sickness into me as well, and I feel tainted by it.
And while Old Smoke has no grave to return to,
there is a moment in the combat, in the struggle, just a moment with his eyes closed in his meditation where he grieves not having a grave and being so alone. The cacophony of voices and souls mingled together seem to be something that have eluded him.
Old Smoke, describe how you attempt to deliver the killing blow to the Grave Gestalt and roll the light move.
I think once I see the pathway that Gavrin has opened up, that has exploited its weakness, that even in my meditative state, I can feel its connection to the dimning. And I naturally, like, just savagely throw myself into it, tearing away with every fiber of my being.
Tearing at the dark nimbus. What are you afraid is going to happen right now if you lose your nerve or you fail?
I fear, of course, that I will be consumed by whatever aspect of the dimning powers this entity.
Go ahead and roll with vitality.
11.
Please describe the end of the Grave Gestalt.
I think as I savagely tear into it, and there is a ear-splitting cacophony of screams that finally shatter all of the peace and serenity of surrounding the Morning Tower, so that anyone within hearing is deafened by it. All of the bones explode into fragments, shards, dust, and ash all about us. And all of a sudden, there is this silence that is all consuming, and only the rain can be heard.
You will, as a reward for defeating the Grave Gestalt, you will get to define a clue that you all find in the remains, this pile of bones at the doorstep of the Morning Tower. We'll do that next time. For now, let's go to end of session. For the end of session, I don't remember the exact steps, to be honest, but I know for one thing, we have to answer the end of session questions. So let's do that now. You all have end of session questions. These are sort of role-playing goals, I guess. You all have the same first two. Did you resolve a mystery? Not yet. And did you roll a cinder? I think the only person who rolled with cinder is Gavrin, right? So Gavrin, you get an XP for that. Let's go down the line.
Calling the Nameless Legion, didn't Shelf also?
Oh, did you roll him? Did you roll cinder as well,
Yeah,
Shelf?
yeah, I
Oh,
rolled
indeed.
cinder there,
Fantastic. You also get one. Thank you. Nizel of the Red Company, did you demonstrate reverence for root, stone, or soil over law, crown, or creed?
I attempted to do so in my conversation with Fen, the Gravedigger, being
take it.
sort of hostile about, yeah.
Did you give a wild-eyed monologue about how the land is speaking to you even now?
Does that count in the struggle? About how the land is not dead. I had planned for this, but then we were in a struggle.
Well, we'll get it next time.
Yeah.
All right, you got one XP. Let's go to Gavrin the Everlit. Gavrin, let's look at your questions here. Did you risk yourself to bring hope or illumination into a dark place? Yes, you did.
Absolutely.
Did you deliver a trembling monologue about the dying of light?
The little bit about, again, to the noble of, like, fret no more, the light has returned, and
Oh, I
like
like
the
it.
whole,
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it. Shelf. Let's go to Shelf. Did your pride reveal itself beneath the mask of humility?
I, I feel like I was kind of like trying to channel that in the interaction with Threnody, specifically in the in the sort of like kind of in the sort of like dialogue with Threnody. Shelf was sort of like accepting of the fact that he had been marked, but was kind of but
I'll
then
take it.
turned it
Yep.
around to being like,
Yeah.
oh, but you're marked too.
No, I think it works. Fantastic. And Your other question says, let's see here. Um,
Did you
did you
hear
hear
the
the
echo
echo
of
of
the
the
Legion?
Legion? Yeah, in your deeds or words.
So hmm, that's interesting one. The I I feel like not quite. I don't think I don't think I quite hit on the well. I guess
I,
I'm interested what your interpretation of the question is, kind of
I,
just because it
I
is
don't. I think
open ended
it
in
feels
an
very
interesting way.
profound, and I don't think we quite got there
Yeah,
yet. So,
yeah, we didn't.
Old Smoke, did you deliver an embittered monologue about the Dimning?
I think I did with the knight. I think I
You
kind
did.
of
Yeah, it was. Did you demonstrate your amazing physical talents to someone else's wonder and astonishment? It's to someone else's wonder and astonishment is the
I,
operative part of
I'm
that.
afraid that my mask may have covered up the fact that I had my eyes closed while I was doing all those fantastic moves.
Indeed, indeed.
I may not have looked as astonished. I don't know. Was anybody else astonished?
I think it'll be obvious in the fiction when someone is astonished by your
That's
ability to balance on a leaf or whatever. All right, so you got your XP. I need to now pull up the gameplay structure because I'm sure there's something else I'm supposed to be doing, and I even though I wrote this game, I don't remember what those things are. Um, let's see here. End of session. Oh, that's it. So basically, I just have to remind you all, those of you who stoke the fire and marked the old fire, you will have to narrate that thing at the very beginning of tomorrow. So before we do anything, you narrate that. So you have a night to think about it. So you'll be in the spotlight. So give us a good scene. And that's it. We go to stars and wishes. Stars are things you enjoyed about the session. Wishes are things you hope to see tomorrow, I guess. Also curious just how you thought about what you thought about the playtest. I'm really happy with it. So,
Okay,
um,
I like amazing.
okay.
Everything from the character keeper, from your amazing GM skills, from the cast of players. What a fantastic maiden voyage. Couldn't be
Hmm.
really, really fantastic. Solid, solid, solid.
Yeah, I'm like, I think my game is done, but I feel really confident in my game. I'm like, I'm
Where can I send you my
I know,
e-transfer?
yeah, we're gonna keep doing the playtest, but I feel really good about it. So yeah, I'm really happy. And it was all just really fun, like just for what it was in of itself. You know. Any other stars and wishes?
Yeah, I've got stars for Gavrin with just like very to theme on everything with the tomb and the narrations and the struggle were all like very, very
Hmm.
yeah, great. The struggle was gross in the best possible way. Like it was just like yeah, I liked
Did
it.
it
I
feel
like
good?
gross
Like
stuff.
the struggle was the main thing I'm playtesting here, and I thought it was good. Like I thought it felt good. Like even though like it takes a minute to resolve, it still is not nearly as long as a D&D combat, and it felt epic to me, which is what I was going for. So I'm just really happy with it. I'm curious what other people think, but yeah.
I enjoyed it, but I also wasn't the climactic.
Yeah, you get to sit in the tree. Although I star for how you like helped though. Like I thought that was really clever use of your aspect. So I was really happy with how the aspects came into play. Like uh, I had a star for like Alexander. You could have easily just done the longsword aspect to get the bonus on that one, but the way you did the name taker aspect, that like the name thing, that was even cooler, right? So that's kind of how I intended for these to work. So that was really neat. Yeah, enjoyed that a lot.
I had a star for the fight scene also because there was the callback. Like, yeah, you chose a more thematic aspect, but then also the callback to the paint the scene with
Hmm.
the wind
Yeah,
screaming and
I picked up
everything.
on
It was
that
great.
too. Yeah, it was good.
The I really liked the interact the initial kind of like interaction in the little cemetery because I was sort of waiting for when we get our first like Dark Souls like little goblin guy character
Yeah,
basically, right? It's
yeah.
like and you embodied that very well, and the imagery, you know, I guess it was just the clue, but like that actual imagery of like the mirror in place of the skull was great.
Hmm.
um and the sort of like initial kind of like interactions between Nicelle and Gavrin and Old Smoke, like approaching, also like Gavrin having the moment in the old cemetery of like lighting up the old cemetery. I just loved that sort of kind of like idea, that visual. And in terms of the struggle, I think it did feel appropriately epic. Like it was, it's a scripted combat. It felt like because the whole time you're doing it, since I GM a lot, including Carve from Brindlewood games, I'm kind of thinking like, oh, how would I run this? I'm sort of thinking like about like, oh, there's a lot of stuff that you can still do with like sort of like fictional positioning and how you frame the roles that like, but the way the struggle is laid out gives it a nice structure. It's like, like
you just
you
have
would
to
want
like
from a Souls boss.
that was the main thing I was trying to play test because it is so scripted in its way. But my instinct was, yes, it's very scripted, but there should be enough space in the dark move to make it your own. And I think that came through. Like I didn't expect you all to do the things you did. Like I thought you were just gonna like, get behind a tree, or like I didn't know you were gonna like meditate or like have a fire halo, or like that was all really cool, right? Like that was really cool stuff. So I was really happy with that. Star for the four shield bearers just standing there waiting on their name. It's amazing. And you were like, please. And they were all just like, and then they just fucked off after they got their name. They're like, we're done.
My brothers. Oh no.
No, oh. Wow. Okay. That was pretty amazing, actually. Yeah, I loved all that. Yeah, this is such a good this just felt like such a good a good test run. Like I was really pleased with it. Yeah, so good. Any other stars and wishes? Yeah.
This is kind of a playtest note about how we did the runes at the beginning.
That's new.
Yeah,
did you like that?
I did, but I wonder if we should tell people what our relics are before we do it. Because when I think of like Nizelle's, what are you going to notice first about her? It's probably the fact that she's got this big old hair.
She's got a big. Yeah, I know. I thought about that too. I was like, should we also do the? It's a good note. That's not even in the rules yet, so I can easily add that in, right?
Yeah,
no,
I don't know if it would be better, but I
thought it was a good addition, though. It was a kind of a call I made like basically right before the session started, because I was like, well, the thing that people really love in character creation of my games is they get to do that little like personal quarters thing, right? And like, and this didn't have that, so I was like, well, what can we do that makes it more lands remaining, So I thought it went pretty well. I thought the discussion, because it kind of forced us all to like talk about the characters, which I thought was interesting. So yeah, but no, I agree. Good note on like we should also probably say what the relics are. But the only reason why I thought, I actually did think that, my only hesitation was like maybe the player might want to reveal their relic in play dramatically, so maybe you would just like leave it up to the player. Like if they want to talk about their relics, they can. Maybe that might be.
Yeah. That was my thought. Was more as a facet of your look. Like you will notice that I have.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm carrying this,
but not necessarily the story behind it and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good actually. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I quite like doing it like that, but not saying too much about the relic, because what I think then a lot of people will do is feel like very limited, like, oh, we can only do things that like make sense for the relic, and then you'll focus like very much on like what that object is. And I think what we did now was a lot of like, this is like something about your personality or your character that I'm seeing, and then like you kind of have to make it work. So personally, I like that, like having that broader.
No, I think Alina's like note of like, because it would make sense as part of your look that if you're carrying around a big ass candelabra, that's something that would stand out. Right?
You mean not everybody has that?
So that would stand out. Yeah, that's pretty good.
No, what you really notice is the fact that they're not wearing shoes.
Yeah, that's weird. That's just weird. Yeah, no, I like that a lot, because I do like giving personal quarters items. So I was like, oh, this game does have that. I thought it did.
It didn't,
so that was
until
fun. Yeah.
5 minutes before we started. It did not.
Yeah,
so.
I also especially liked. I think it does take a bit longer that way, but I think I like that it was a discussion, because then it was very interesting for me like to hear like what did people pick up on about Gavin, or like what do we have like sort of. I think like as a player it's really interesting to see like what the other players are like already.
Well, yeah, and you all were like discussing the characters almost like in a thematic way or like a philosophy way, which I thought was really, I didn't expect that to happen, but that was a great outcome. I was like, oh, they're talking about these characters like in theme, which is really cool. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah,
Mhm.
done a
Yeah,
lot.
and as for the struggle, I really liked it. I think it gave for me, I really like combat because I think it's a very unique and clever way to get to emotions that you can
Hmm.
get to a lot, like not at all or much harder through just like dialogue and like standing there.
Yeah,
And I think you really got that in the struggle where all of these different reactions, like, Shelf immediately protecting and like calling upon help like calling upon help, and then like Old Smoke doing this like monk thing of, I'm
yeah,
going into a
yeah. That was
meditative
great.
state, and
Yeah.
then Gavin just being like, I don't know, my candles will save me. And I think like Nazal too, just being like, nah, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this. I'm up in a tree. Like these were
Technically not
all,
running away.
Technically not. There was
yeah.
no opportunity,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Exactly. But yeah, these were like all like really interesting character choices, right?
Yeah,
And that to me is like what combat is great in, and like what do you do when your life is on the line? And I
yeah.
think that the like struggle really got to that. And also like these the paint a scene questions, and just like why do you think maybe
Yeah,
it
I
should get
wanted
to
it to
you?
be
Like,
like
yeah.
there had to be this like pathos element. There has to be this like especially for like a Dark Souls inspired combat, right? Or like boss combat. Like there has to be this like, at the end it's not just stick your sword in the nimbus and destroy it. It's like you see something that shows that they might have a point. Like like what is it? And then I thought we learned a lot about the characters then. Anyway, I don't want to keep anybody longer than we have to. We'll be meeting tomorrow, but if there's any other last minute thoughts, let's hear them.
No, just love everyone. Everybody's character is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I guess one thing to get out, and it's fairly specific, but just like on the rolling for the Nameless Legion, since I've done it at least once now. I was kind of thinking like, because like the only time I've ever seen a move that asks you to roll and then roll another die is like Dungeon World, the combat
It's
move in
rare. It's,
Dungeon World.
it's the only.
Yeah, it's
I've
rare.
never had a game that does that. Yeah.
It was interesting. I just wanted to like I guess ask if there was any thought on like whether the move itself could key off of the die that one of the
I
dice
thought
that you
about it.
just rolled.
I thought about it, and the reason why I decided not to. It's an interesting observation.
Hmm.
The reason why I decided not to is because it makes the results really linear. So like if you like when I was fiddling around with it, what I discovered was like if you get a if you get a 6 or a 5 or a 4, it's always going to be like a small number of. It's probably going to be like a small number of guys that appear. But I wanted the possibility of like 6 useless dudes to show up, right? Or does that make
Right.
sense? Like, so I kind of wanted just some
Or like an
variability.
epic moment, right? You roll the 12 plus, but you just
You
roll
get
one
one guy,
person, and
yeah,
they're just like
right, yeah,
really
yeah,
cool
yeah,
or
exactly,
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like so I wanted that little bit of variability in there, yeah. So that's all. That's
Okay.
the only reason why. But
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you
yeah,
for
it's a
that.
good observation though. Like it was a particular choice I made. Fantastic. All right. Well, I'm excited to continue tomorrow. Sorry we went a little long, but I will stop the recording now.